I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker this morning, and it's with tremendous pleasure that I put the doctor title in front of the Allison Powell name. She just completed her PhD in instructional technology from Pepperdine, so let's give her a round of applause for that. Allison has brought probably the best group of experts for online teaching with her, and they're sitting here, and they're students, and it's always great to hear from students, so she'll introduce them. She is the Vice President of the International Association for Online Learning, which we lovingly refer to as INACOL. Some of you may be familiar with that. She taught both face-to-face and online in the K-8 environment. So for those of you who've ever taught junior high, you have a special affinity and respect for Allison for that. She helped build the Clark County School District Virtual High School and the online professional development for the Nevada School District. Like I said, she's just finished her doctorate, which is just so cool. She said to me this morning she's been in 4 cities in 4 days, and so her brain's a little fried. So what we will hope is that she will turn most of it over, in that case, to the wonderful experts that she brought with her. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you Dr. Allison Powell.
Thank you. I've never had that big of a long introduction before. Thanks. Welcome to the conference, and I'm excited to be here and to kick off the conference with the student panel because this is the reason that we're all here today. So we're going to go through, and we have a couple of fun little questions along the way, and I'm going to start off with one just so I know that I can do the little clicker thing up here. And then we'll kick off with some questions that I've prepared for them, and none of the students here have been prepared. We just had some water before and got to know each other, but they don't know, they haven't prepared any answers here, so it's all on the spot. And then at the end, when we have some extra time, you guys can ask a few questions of the students as well. So just to get started, and so I can figure out how to do this polling thing, let's start with what levels of student do you guys work with? Are you a K-12 teacher, community college, university? Are you with the private sector or some other capacity? All right, 5 more seconds. Okay, so it looks like the majority of everyone here is from the community college level, and we have a few K-12 folks, which is exciting, and some university. So most of our panel today is at the K-12 level. We do have one student here from San Diego City College, and the rest are from cyber charter schools and district virtual schools here in the San Diego area. And we do have one more student that could show up mid-panel if they get out of the traffic. So I'm going to go through and kind of let them introduce themselves. Our first set of questions is, what school are you in? How did you hear about online learning program, and why did you enroll? So I'm going to let you guys go through one by one and kind of answer those questions. So we'll start with Amanda down at the end.
And I go to Connections Academy. I'm in 6th grade, and we decided to start going to a virtual charter school because my mom started attending to the board meetings to my school that I was going to be going into for kindergarten, and she just didn't like the stuff that they were doing, some of the curriculum, and so we started looking around for some different schools, and one of our neighbors actually got a flyer for Connections Academy, and they gave it to us because they knew that we were looking for a school to go to, and So we called the number and we found my school, and I've been in it since kindergarten.
Okay, CJ.
My parents actually found iHigh. I was born out here, but then we moved to North Carolina when I was around 8 and stayed out there for around 7 years. We came back, and so we were looking for a school for me to go to, and my parents found iHigh, and so we enrolled, and I'm actually enjoying it. So, oh, and my name is CJ. Sorry.
My name's Leanne Lose. I'm a junior at iHigh Virtual Academy. I've been doing online learning for 3 years now, and I love it. I originally switched to iHigh because they had a variety of AP classes that were UC approved, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So it worked out.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I attend San Diego Community College. The reason that I enrolled in online classes is because I own a business, myself and my husband, and I have 2 small children at home, so I found it easier to enroll in online classes rather than have to find someone to babysit my children, and it's just a lot easier for me to continue my courses and still be employed and still be at home with my kids.
Great. So we've got a great group of students here that are taking online classes for a variety of reasons, and we're going to find out a little bit more about them in a second. But I wanted to introduce myself. I guess you already know quite a bit about me, but I came from iNACOL, which is a nonprofit organization that supports K-12 online and blended learning all over the world. And our mission is to ensure that every student has access to a world-class education no matter what their zip code is. And this is made possible through the online learning experience. So we do a lot of leadership and advocacy, research, and professional development in the field. And just some quick facts about what's happening in both the K-12 and higher ed arena right now. K-12 online learning's been around since about the mid-90s, 1996, and right now we have 27 states that have virtual schools at the state level. 6 states have initiatives where they provide content and the districts can use it however they'd like. And 25 states, with most of our K-12 students here, are in full-time virtual schools, so they don't actually physically go to a building every day. They may go in once or twice a week, but their full education is done online. And we're seeing a big trend in the employers. Right now, 30% of them are using online learning in the workplace for training, and we'll go into the higher ed on the next slide. And 75% of school districts right now offer online learning. So kids are now exposed to it. It's not a new trend that we're seeing anymore. It's really gotten into the K-12 area. And we're starting to see the university levels offering more K-12 classes. So different universities like Northwestern and Stanford are offering their own virtual schools. And it's growing at about 30% every year, and that number has not changed since the year 2000. So we had over 2 million students in the K-12 area enrolled in an online class last year. Higher ed, it's really growing, and this is kind of where it started and then moved down into K-12. There was over 4.6 million enrollments in higher ed last year, and 1 in 4 college kids are taking classes. And these aren't your non-traditional students that are driving in after work to take classes. These are the undergrads that want that college experience and are sitting in their dorm rooms taking online classes and then going out and enjoying college experience and college life after school. So they don't want to sit in a big auditorium and just sit and get information. They want to do it online and interact with each other that way, but still go out and have that social life. And so a lot of it that we've seen in the last year, there's been a huge surge in the growth because of the swine flu breakout last year. To ensure the continuity of learning, both in the K-12 and higher ed, more and more schools are implementing the online learning. So if there was a pandemic or a natural disaster like Hurricane Katrina, the students can keep learning throughout that. So that's just a quick overview of what's happening. And before we go on with the other kids, we know our panel here has taken an online class, but it's also important that the teacher has taken an online class and knows what the student's going through. So if you have taken an online class, will you click A. If you haven't, B. And then if you've only taught one but never taken one, click C. So I'll give you 10 more seconds. All right. Okay, great. So the majority of the audience has taken one, and we feel that's really important as a teacher, so you know what the kids are experiencing. But we're going to let the kids take over the show now and talk about their experiences and how you as teachers can improve what you're doing in the online environment. And they're going to be brutally honest. We told them this is the one time they can tell their teachers what they really think and won't get in trouble for it. So they told us what schools they go to and why they enrolled, but what kinds of classes are you taking online? Can you tell us that? And we can start with Melissa at this end first.
I've taken several courses online. I've taken business courses. I've taken physical anthropology, health ed. I also took English 101. There's just a huge variety that I've taken, and they're about the same as in class, because I've taken in class and I've taken online. So, and I mix my semester up with online and in class. And I think that online is just as hard as in class. It's not easier. It's just you have more time to do other things.
I actually just finished up my classes about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, but I was taking AP English Literature and Composition, AP Psychology, and AP US History. And I'm going to have to say that I definitely like the more time that I have to study rather than sit in class and be distracted. I feel I'm not distracted by other kids, by what they're doing, so the extra time I have to study definitely helps and improves my grade.
Last semester, I just finished 4 classes. I had pre-calc, Spanish 2, American Lit, and biology. They were a little more complicated since I had just come from a regular school, so it definitely takes getting used to not having a teacher there. You have to change your schedule, but having your own schedule for school is pretty cool. So.
Great. And Amanda?
I do all of my classes, and I have technology to help me with my courses and to learn about PowerPoints and Microsoft and all that stuff for some of my classes I do online. I do the gifted programs, so I do gifted science, math, English, and gifted literature. I also have history and art classes and all of those.
Great. So we have a wide spectrum from the full, they can take anything from, they didn't mention PE, but I know there's schools offering PE. We've got foreign languages, science, math, and even the higher ed classes. So you can take anything online nowadays, which is very exciting. Before we get on to the next question, we do work very closely with Project Tomorrow, which surveys students and teachers all over the country. And they were asked in this last year's survey, what would be the most significant benefit to you taking an online class? And what do you think was the #1 reason kids picked for the reason that they wanted to take an online class? Uh-oh. Oh, no. There's no timer on this one. So if you didn't see that, did you? Okay. So it's to work at their own pace. So there's a lot of different reasons kids are taking classes, but that's the #1 reason. We know our classes are crowded, and as a teacher, you have to teach to the middle, where the online learning allows you to individualize a little bit more, and kids can take extra time if they need it or move ahead a little bit quicker. There we go. So that's a little chart of the different reasons that they gave for it. So we want to know from the kids, has online learning made a difference in your education? What do you love most about the classes you take, and what do you like least about the classes? So do you want to start with Amanda? What's your favorite thing, and what do you like least about going online?
My favorite thing about my school and my courses would have to be that I have the ability to work at my own pace, and if I want to go on vacation or something and have a day off, the day before that or a week before, I can work ahead and be able to have that time off. And I don't think I have anything that I don't like about my school. I like it all. It just gives me so many opportunities to work the way I want to and have a lot of flexibility.
I have to agree with Amanda on the fact that having your own schedule, going at your own pace, really does make a big difference in having to go to school every day and staying there all day, which can get annoying, especially with the kids there who are just distracting the class and not helping you at all. One thing that I probably like the least about my school is probably it does put a lot more responsibility on you. So once you get used to having to have your own schedule, you have to put a lot more time on studying without the teacher there. So that's probably the least thing, but it works out anyway.
Online education has definitely changed me a lot. I've had to take on a bigger responsibility. You don't have someone sitting there babysitting you. You have mentors, but it's basically up to you to do it. There's not a teacher holding your hand, not walking you, from class to class. You have to be responsible and take initiative. So I've definitely learned to manage my time well. I absolutely love online learning. For what Amanda and CJ said, I have my own pace. I'm not distracted, and what I love most is I can have my social time and I can have strictly school time. So I'm not distracted by other kids or things going on around me. I can focus and stay focused. So.
My favorite thing about the online courses is the extra time to be with my children, the extra time to put in on their business, and just doing daily work, other things. I do like the choice that we're able to work ahead if we need to. The one thing that I didn't like about the online courses is the feedback from the teachers. I'm not sure if maybe they're teaching online courses and they have actual in-school courses, because it's hard to get feedback back. I would email the teacher saying, I'm not understanding something that I did wrong on this essay, or something that I did wrong on this test. Can you explain it to me more thoroughly so I don't make the same mistake again? And sometimes I wouldn't get feedback and sometimes I would. So that's the one thing that I would want to change. Other than that, I love it.
Great. And Leanne brought up the socialization aspect of it, and we get that question quite a bit. So I want to hear from the rest of you. I know from just talking with you this morning, but are you in other activities? Do you have friends and are socialized? Believe it or not, we get those questions all the time. What do you do for a social life outside of online school? Because we know you're not just sitting in front of the computer all day. You can go in any order.
Sorry.
I do Girl Scouts outside of school, and my school offers field trips, and we go to beginning and end of the year picnics, so I get to see my friends. Also on testing dates, we get to email each other and figure out which testing site you're going at, so we'll go together, and then afterwards we'll have like a little play date or something and go have lunch afterwards. And even with my friends from school, not during school or field trips, my mom and my friends can't coordinate something that we can get together at some date and have fun.
I have band outside of school. I'm into music and writing plays and acting out different plays. Also, the teachers at my school also try to get the kids to come into school, not just for school. They put together some kickball games and flag football games for all the students to come and play. So that gets fun. And yeah, I have friends. I have friends from when I was in a regular school, and friends when I still lived out here. So I have friends to go talk to and hang out with whenever I don't have a really busy day.
Luckily for me, pretty much a majority of my friends are in independent study, so we kind of all hang out together. I also am part of my local high school's drama club, and like the school plays and stuff, I help out with them. So it's an opportunity to hang out with all my old friends that I used to go to school with and see them, but not get sick of them.
I actually do have a social life aside from my family. They take up most of my time. So I'm enrolling with the paralegal club. I'm very involved in my child's school. He goes to private school, and I go and tutor. I help him out. I do fundraisers for them. just different things like that. That's about it.
Great, thank you. And social networking's become a huge thing in online learning and just education in general. What percentage of middle school students do you think use social networking sites to collaborate with peers on their schoolwork? So they're not just using these for fun, but they're also using it for school. So how many of them do you think? I'm not going to put the timer on because I'm scared it'll give you the answer. Give you 5 more seconds. All right. So the answer is 51% of middle school kids are now using social networking. So we're seeing a big difference in the kids that are growing up. So you're seeing some older K-12 students, but those elementary and middle school students that are coming into the schools, whether it's your high schools or community colleges and universities, they're using these tools at home. And they're using them for school. So how can you start incorporating them as teachers in the classroom into your online classrooms? Because they're already using them, they're free, and ask them how they're using it, get them going within your classes. So with that tool, it kind of goes into the next set of questions on the design of courses. So you've got a bunch of teachers here in front of you. So how would you design the perfect online class? You guys have all taken several online classes. What would you do different to make the best online class if you had your choice? And we'll start with that one. So Melissa, do you want to start?
The thing that I would do different is maybe a presentation on the lecture for that week, because you're giving lectures on weeks. And sometimes all they give you is a PowerPoint, and I think it would be more interactive if we actually saw the professor's face and they actually put the video onto the link, so we're able to get more of a feel of the lecture and more in detail and things like that. So I know in my paralegal class, half of the semester, some was in class and some was actually online, and my professor had actually done a video for the weeks that we weren't in class, but we had to do it online. And I thought that was really helpful, how I got to have a face-to-face interaction with him, and I could ask questions later on, email him the questions that I had, but I like that option.
I agree with what Melissa said earlier about the feedback. I feel I'm like pulling teeth when I try to get feedback with my teachers, and because you're not face-to-face, it's a little more difficult, you know, it's just not easy, and plus with all the different kids they have and the different courses, like, it's just complicated. So getting feedback is a little bit of a pain, but other than that, I like it. And I would also say that I would enjoy having some type of discussion that with my classmates, like a place that just the kids can go and talk about the class, you know. I guess it kind of depends on the server or the online provider, but I know Apex doesn't have one of those. So.
Feedback has also been a problem for me. You can email a teacher like one day and you might get the answer 2 days later once you figure out the answer. But other than that, feedback has been a problem. Other than that, I liked Melissa. Okay, I like Melissa's idea of having a teacher like actually post a video of them giving the information, because that would actually be pretty cool too.
Right, Amanda?
I like what I have right now. I like the variety that it gives me to read a page in my social studies book and watch a little video of what I have, what's my lessons about. If it's about the Civil War, then I can watch, and it'll have diagrams and pictures and stuff that I can see, and then I read it in my book. If I have any sort of question or something about what I'm learning, or if I have a test or a quiz that I got to answer wrong and I want to know what I did wrong, I can call or email my teacher, and pretty much most of the time I haven't really had that much problems with feedback. They'll usually either pick up or just get back to me in the next day or sometimes in the same day.
Great. So it sounds like feedback was the theme on this one, and making sure the kids today want that instant feedback. They're getting it in other parts of their life, and they're expecting it from you, and they're working at all hours of the day and nights and weekends, and so it makes it difficult for the teacher. But if you can, we usually, when we're working with teachers, have them do like a 24-hour feedback, so you can see that that's really important for the kids here. We did talk a little bit about some interaction with the teachers. You are interacting with other kids online. What's your favorite way to interact with kids? Is it discussion boards, or do you do it on your own time? Or how could teachers help make the interaction a little bit better within the classes, whether it's with them one-on-one or working with other students? What's your favorite way to interact with kids, and how can teachers improve their classes to do that? Does anybody, do you want to go, Leah? Oh, and I think, is this, okay, well, hold on one second. Is this Juan? Huh? Kuin. Okay. Kuin, do you want to introduce yourself really quick and tell us what school you go to and what classes you're taking online?
Hello, my name is Kuin Hartz. I go to Pacific View Charter School, and I do my science, my history, and there's one other subject, some of my literature online, and then the rest I do in text.
Great. And before we move on, we asked everybody else earlier, what is your favorite part about taking online classes, and what's your least favorite part?
My favorite part about it is I can get the trustworthy information that, you know, someone will need for schooling. What is it? The links, they get updated, and with the economy being spent mostly on reprinting textbooks, the online schooling makes it a lot easier to do schooling, because you know that you'll have, you know, the most updated information. The hardest part about it, though, is like when the program that they have on the internet, sometimes too many people go on at once, so some people can't access the program readily. And also, on occasion, sometimes the links that they give, they are sometimes a bit out of date, so that makes it a bit hard to do work. But otherwise, the system's pretty good.
Great. And we were just getting into interaction and different ways that you can interact online. And so nobody's answered this question yet, but what are some of the different ways you do interact online with your teacher and students, and what are your favorite ways to do that?
Well, I'm more used to talking to other students via phone. I don't email other students, and my mom usually handles talking to the teacher online. I just talk to her at the teachers' meetings. I'd say that, you know, face-to-face interaction and over-the-phone interaction are best, because there's a bit of an easier way to do it, because, you know, you don't know if the email you've sent is going to be delayed or if the program's not running right. It just makes it a bit easier.
Great. Amanda?
I think that I interact with my teacher. It's called a live lesson, and it's a live PowerPoint, and you can go in and you have your other students there that you can talk to. You have a microphone and headset, so you can talk with your microphone to your teacher and ask questions that way. She'll have a slideshow up on something that you're learning, which you go to live lesson for, and you can talk. And if your microphone or you're having any sort of technical difficulty, most of the time you're able to fix it. They have that happens sometimes, and they know pretty well how to adjust that. And if you lost your mic or something and you can't talk, they have a chat pod, so you can type your questions and responses in through that, and that's it.
I personally don't live far away from one of our campuses for my school, so if I ever have a typical question that I don't actually want to wait for the feedback, I can just go to the school and ask one of my teachers for the answer. So that's one way I can get answers for the from interaction from my teachers.
I noticed that in my AP psychology class, I got the most interaction feedback between kids with the discussions. I saw that kids were more passionate when it was kind of opinion-based. They kind of somehow put an opinion in there, and then kids would start talking about their personal life and kind of relate things, and I just saw people actually getting into it, and I thought it was pretty neat. So I think if we could put discussions that have a little bit more of opinion-based so we could go off of them and talk back and forth, it'd be pretty cool.
I interact with students through email. With the online courses, there's actually a place where the teachers do a discussion board, and the same thing, they put questions and you answer, and then students are able to reply on your answer, and then it just keeps going from there and becomes a bigger picture. I also interact on Facebook. Sometimes I use Facebook to interact with other students, ask them questions about an assignment. Did you understand the assignment? How did you do this? How did you do that? Also, there's an option on our online courses where you could see who's actually online from your course, and you could go ahead and ask them a question. You just click to email them or do a chat room, and that's the easier way to actually get interaction with other students.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we can see how important the interaction, especially with the other students. We noticed most of them, except for Amanda, talked about talking with other students to get answers rather than going and waiting for the teacher directly to get the feedback. So setting up and creating those opportunities for the students is important. Another big question we get is in online learning, it's so easy to cheat and on different assignments or tests, or how do we know it's really you? What do you think about cheating? Have you ever cheated? Is it easy to cheat in an online class? You won't get in trouble, but be honest. That's a big rumor that we hear, and if you are able to easily do it, how could teachers make it harder for you guys to not cheat?
In truth, I've only ever cheated once, and this was at public school. The teacher had left out the teacher's guide for a math assessment, and I only got a sneak peek at one of the answers to one of the questions. I regretted it the rest of my life. This was in 3rd grade. In truth, cheaters never win. I ended up actually getting an 80% on that test afterwards. That proves it. Teachers, we all know that they have parental control blocks for computers and TVs and Wii systems. They could put, they should make a parental control block for teacher's guides so that only the parents teaching at home and the teachers can access them, making it just a little bit harder for the students to access them. It would be the password ones that you see on the computer. And then, I've heard of kids cheating with their cell phones. They'll take out their cell phones, they'll text to other kids the answers, and also they'll use their calculators to solve math homework. That's not really fair, so if they get a good grade, they don't deserve it. So I don't think cheating is right, and I wouldn't exactly recommend it because eventually you'll start regretting it like I did.
For my school, we have at the beginning of the year when you start and you're just enrolling for the next year of schooling, you, I believe it's a contract. You sign a contract, and it's the honor roll, and basically you're signing and saying that you won't cheat, and your parent, your learning coach is there, and so they need to have the answers to your books and your textbooks, and so that way they can know if you're getting the answer right or wrong. And so you have a textbook there for your learning coach that has all the answers in them. And so being on the honor roll, you basically promise that you're not going to go into those books and look at the answers to get a good grade, and the teachers and everybody there kind of just needs to trust you, and if not, then you just get the grade anyway.
Great.
Cheating actually for online schools is a lot easier than at a regular school. So I personally have not cheated, but I do know how I got students who at my school actually know how to cheat. But no, I personally have not. But the school has changed a few things on the online part of the course, making it a lot more complicated to cheat. So that's a big issue that I have seen.
I think we forget that public schools, kids cheat all the time. Kids copy tests, kids copy homework between classes. Like, I remember my freshman year when I did public schooling, everyone cheats. So I think people forget that. I know online it's easier to cheat, but like, I know at my online school, I don't get to do like my proctor test, I don't get to do open book like kids do at my local high school. I don't get to use notes. I don't get to make like a note card that has little side things on it. I don't have other students to copy my work off of. So it's kind of, there's negatives, there's pros and cons to it for both, but cheating is going to take place in both. You can't really stop it. I mean, as I agree with CJ that they have made it a lot more complicated to get around the system, but people tend to neglect the fact that kids cheat both online and in public high schools.
With my online courses, there's no way that you can cheat. On the test, you have 50 questions that you have to answer in 30 minutes, and they're usually not very easy to answer, and they're multiple choice or true or false. And sometimes on the essay questions, you have to write a whole essay, and you're only given 30 minutes. So there's no way you could go back and look in your book or look through your notes and be able to cheat. So there's no way.
Great. So we've heard that no matter what environment you're in, kids are probably going to try. So that might be a clue for us as teachers to kind of change the way we're assessing students and maybe do more of the projects and the essays and critical thinking skills where they're not able to just go Google an answer and click A, B, C and cheat that way. So maybe rethinking some of the ways that we're teaching where they're assessing different things like a project or something rather than the multiple guess questions might be a way to get around that. And then one last question that I'm going to ask you guys, and then we'll take a couple questions from the audience. If you were in charge for a day and could spend money on anything for technology in the schools, and if you could also change and talk to the principal or the dean of your school, how would you change that? So what's the one technology piece that you want, and how would you change your virtual school if you could?
In truth, wait, are we talking about like public school technology?
If you could have any kind of technology to learn with, what would you want?
You know, the computers are basically the best form of technology, and then I've heard like they've made games that actually help learning. They're like computer games, and you load them up and they make education fun. In truth, I think that they should have a lot more computer programs that make learning fun, because you know, there's going to be the teenager who's bogged down with schoolwork because he finds the work boring to him, so he's not really going to pay much attention. But if they could get that teenager to focus his energy on something fun that actually teaches him everything he's supposed to be studying, he's more likely to remember it because they've put it in a fun educational form made for computer. I've seen multiple of these at stores, but they don't really have much in the way of educational programs such as that. So they could try making more and then maybe get a bit more computers to work with, making the schooling just a bit easier, maybe limit some of the online, because, you know, kids, they can get into anything they want to, if not watched. So maybe, you know, restricting a bit of the internet connections, and but otherwise the internet connections are fine. Let's let the other person go.
What kind of technology would you add to your school if you could?
I wouldn't really add too much. I have a lot of technology already involved in my school for my technology courses, doing PowerPoints and Microsofts, and I really wouldn't add any sort of extra technology to my courses.
One thing that I think that would be awesome to add to our school would be ICAMs. For getting feedback from teachers, make that a lot easier. You can just call them using whatever calling system you use, whether it be Skype or whatever. You'd be able to call your teacher with the ICAM. You can actually see their face when they're talking to you through the ICAM, so that'd be pretty cool.
I know a majority of kids have their textbooks online, but when it comes to AP classes, they don't. They still give you a big book to lug around. So I think they're called iPads now, the new thing that just came out. I say every kid gets an iPad.
I agree with her. The iPads they're fantastic. I would love one. I don't really think there's anything else that they could really add on to the online classes. We're using the Microsoft programs. The whole class is online. I don't really see anything that else would be needed.
Great, and we're going to start with Melissa, and I'm going to do one more question and then let you guys ask a couple. But what's your vision of what schools should be like in 20 years from now?
I think schools are probably going to be completely online. Maybe there's going to be a few schools that are going to still be up and running, but I think everything's going to be online. The whole economy, the whole society is going towards online. I used to also work for a business that we did training online. So instead of going into a meeting and we're having training on a specific item, a specific way to go about things, it was all online. We had to do a certain amount of cues in order to get credit for that actual training. So I think everything's going to be online.
I would say that in 20 years from now, I hope the curriculum's a little more personalized, like a set of standards, but when the teachers grade you, it's more of your work, like your progress in your work, not a matter of how well you did compared to another student. Like, we all know it's all competition, everything's one standard, and you have to, it's all whoever does the most, survival of the fittest. But I think it should be more about how well you learned, how much you grasped the concept, not a matter of how well you did compared to other students. So I think 20 years from now, we should somehow find a way to get a little more personalized in grading.
Great.
I agree with Leanne on that too. And Melissa, thank you. And Melissa, schools probably will be more online than they are now. And technology will probably come out again to make cheating nearly impossible. So only one of those really smart, full-blown hackers would probably be able to find any way to cheat at all. So the schools online would probably be the way I would probably think things would go in 20 years or so.
Amanda?
I think that in 20 years, school would be a lot more involved with technology, a lot more online, and like CJ said, I hope it would be a lot harder to be able to cheat, and that it would be a lot more of schooling would be online. You would have online textbooks, some of us mostly already have some online textbooks, but that it would be a lot more technology involved with schooling.
In truth, I really do hope that they discover a way to make it so that we're not in such an economic downfall as we are today, because that is affecting all the schools, not just the public, but the private and the home schools. They're all being affected by our government, and so hopefully by then we'll have found some like resources, more reusable resources. We can spend less money drilling, as is shown with the problem at the Gulf Coast, thus making more money so that we can spend it on the schools to help advance programs. I agree with the fact that there might be hackers at online schools. There should be at least a little point of a balance of public, private, and homeschooling, not have everyone go to homeschooling and then the remainder of the kids go to either a private school or public school. The kids should be sort of equally distributed among the schools and not have schools overflowing with kids. They can barely take any more. They should get the public schools. My third grade school, they ended up getting rid of a lot of their technological stuff, and if you pay close attention to the public schools and the private schools today, because of lack of money for the school budget, they are getting rid of their music classes, their art classes. I believe there was once a school that ran a karate class. They've been getting rid of those. So hopefully by the time 20 years has come around, we'll have most of those back in our schools. We'll have, maybe added hockey team or softball team to go along with our standard football teams. And that's basically how I feel on that.
Great, thank you so much for your vision. I'm not sure how we are on time. Do we have time for a couple more questions from the audience? Okay, so let's take a couple of questions we'll start over here. Yes. I'll repeat the question.
Do the classes you take have like an hour a week where you're online with the teacher? And what time of day is best for you? And what kind of stuff do you like to do? Synchronous learning?
Okay, so the question was, does your class require you to meet like an hour online with your teachers? And
What kind of stuff do you like best?
and what kind of stuff do you like best in your classes?
And what time of day?
And what time of day do you do most of your work?
Well, I usually start, most of my work is online. Next year I'm starting a class at my school that on Tuesdays or Thursdays I go in for about 3 hours and I work on my literature, my math. But a normal school day for me is basically I start the online work at around 8 o'clock because almost barely anyone gets on at 8 o'clock to start. Some people wait until 8:30 or 9 o'clock to start their work. I believe that I like the history and the science that they put online and some of the literature because they have little interactive imagery that it moves around if you hit a certain button, and they also have like these little fun quizzes on certain assignments where you click on a button that takes you to them, and like all sorts of nice pictures and the animations pop up if you get everything correct. Like there's just music and stuff if you win, that sort of thing. So yeah, science and history is best presented online.
I usually start my day around 9 o'clock and then have a break at lunch. Usually we're done a little bit after lunch. If not, and I have a really big day, we go do errands and stuff, and we come back, and if there's anything left over, usually we do it then.
What's your favorite part of the class?
My favorite part of my class would have to be my gifted literature, because to me it's kind of like a book club, because we read our books and then we go into a live lesson with my teacher, and we can talk about the book that we read and discuss about our opinions, and my other students are there and my teacher, and we can decide and what our opinions are about that, and if someone else says I agree with you and I disagree with you, then it's nice to be able to share opinions with other students.
And also, are you required to meet online with your teacher each week?
Yeah, I have my gifted literature lesson is at least 1 hour a week to see and meet with my teacher. Other than that, I just bring in my portfolio, and I like to go to my school often to see my teacher and my other friends there. Sometimes we go too.
Great. CJ?
I usually get started around 10 o'clock in the morning. Another thing why I like online school, I don't have to wake up at 6 something in the morning to go to school every day. Mostly with biology or other science classes, we usually have to go to school like every Monday for about an hour to do a lab. My favorite part about the course would probably have been biology as well. The work wasn't as complicated as pre-calc or Spanish 2 was over the computer, because those classes were really difficult without the teacher there. So changing my study habits was also needed in those 2 classes.
As for the question about the meeting with your teacher for an hour, I know it's kind of like the school's choice, because I attended Pacific View Charter School as well, and they required me once a week, even when I did the online and book work. And both of them I had to do a camera video chat with my teacher for an hour every week, or I had to go in, depending on if I was doing the online or the book work. But my current school doesn't make me, but I go in a lot more often than that. As for what I like most, my personal preference in my classes is my AP Psychology class. I just find it intriguing, and it's just so much fun because everyone really has opinions, everyone's passionate, and people who are in the class want to be there and want to talk and want to debate, and that's just kind of my thing. But as for the class in general, I love that I have an overall syllabus of the whole year, so I can kind of plan for what I'm going to be doing. Do I need more time to read a book? Am I going to be writing essays about a novel? So it really helps me plan my schedule. And as for when I work, I'm not a morning person, so I'm lucky to be here right now. I'm a night person. That's just how I work. I work so much better and faster at night. So I usually start my work usually about like 4 in the afternoon, but I'm up all night. So I'm up all night and then sleep in, so I enjoy it. But that's pretty much it.
I usually do my work either early in the morning before my kids wake up, or on the weekends when my husband's there to watch them while I get all my coursework done. I don't have a set time that I meet with my instructor. I just have an assignment that's due, and it's due a week from then. And I need to complete it by midnight of that day, or it's considered late, or I can't turn it in anymore. The thing that I like the most about my class was probably my health education class. It was more interactive. We had to look for current event articles that related to our chapters. We had to write a quick summary on it, and we had to reply to 2 other classmates' summaries on their articles, which was very informative. I learned a lot of things that way, and I really enjoyed that.
Great. Seems like a common theme out of all their favorite things was interacting with the other students. So keep that in mind. The lady in the white jacket.
What percent of your online learning success / ownership of your success is yours, your teachers, or your
what percentage of your success is from you, your teachers, and your support network? So I'll start down this end here.
It's probably 50-50 with myself. No. It's more like 100% with myself. And yeah, so yeah. It's up to me to get the job done. It's up to my teachers to help me out to get that job done. I have to have the motivation to attend my classes and to achieve my goal that I want to achieve. So I think it's 100% myself.
I can't really put a percentage to it because ultimately it comes down to me. It comes down to what do I want to do, where do I want to set my standards, how high do I want to go. It just kind of all depends on like my circumstances at the time, but I have to say it definitely helps having such a strong support group. Patty McIntyre, Miss McIntyre right there. She's my principal, she's amazing. My teachers, when I start to slack off, they're there to help me, they are, and I do need that push every once in a while. But like Melissa said, it all comes down to me, so it's like 100% me, and then I love having a support group that I feel I can come to and they're gonna give me answers, and I'm not nervous because we're on a personal level, and I just love it. So yeah, it comes down to you ultimately, but other than that, it definitely helps having a support group that's strong.
I agree with her when it comes down to the fact that everything usually does come down to you, but having a support group really does help. My teachers do support me, but my parents are usually the ones who push me a lot harder to get all my work done by usually threatening to take away anything that I actually like at home when I don't get my work done. So my parents are usually there to push me harder, to keep my grades up and get all my work done. And my teachers as well, by encouraging me and complimenting me whenever I do something really well, or telling me what I can work on whenever I don't do something, all that, to my best abilities.
I would have to agree with all of them that yes, it's pretty much 100% on me to be able to focus and concentrate, and my parent that's with me, or my learning coach, she'll get me started and show me like the basics of my subject. She likes to be involved with what I'm learning too. She likes to be there and learn with me, so I think that, yes, it's 100% on me to want to get the job done, and in the end it feels good because you know that you pushed yourself hard enough to be able to get everything done.
In the case of work, I agree with all of my fellow speakers. Yes, it's 100% on the worker, but when it comes to support, it's 15% of my teachers support. Mrs. Mecca, she gives me a lot of support. She comes down hard on me if I don't do the amount of work required. She helps with the taking away of things, unfortunately. Not funny. But is it 44% of it is my parents. Wait, how much percent is that? Hold on, I'm thinking. 44, 50, that is 59%. 0.5% is my brother. He's actually an inspiration, and yet he's only 7. Hey, hold on. He's a great kid. He's a great worker. He loves his homework, and he's a real inspiration when I can't turn everything in on time. He's a great inspiration to me. And then the rest of it comes down to my own belief in my own abilities to do the work. When it comes down to it, yes, it is me, but the support of almost everyone I know is a great help to my work, and that's basically it.
Great. We'll take one more question. How about the man in the black shirt?
I work with families in Oakland. The reality for them is that they don't have computers in their homes. And I was wondering if, for any of you, if your schools have provided you with your computers and the other hardware that you needed for these courses, or you bought your family
I'm pretty sure that my school would provide me with a computer when I go for my teachers' meetings. I see kids in a computer lab that they have, and then there's a building next door that's connected to the teacher's room that I've seen kids on the computer. They're taking their tests. They're doing their lessons in school. But my computer, I own my own computer. My mom owns her own computer. Her and my brother do my brother's homework on her computer, and I am usually stuck to my computer desk most of the day when I have to work. So I am pretty sure that my school would have provided me with a computer, but I happily own my own thanks to my grandmother.
I'm going to answer that question for Amanda because of her grade level and her age. She's not aware of what our school does. Our school offers technology grants to students that come from low-income families. We actually are a public virtual charter school, so all families fill out the same forms that you do at a regular brick-and-mortar elementary school and public school system. So we can identify which of our families need help with the technology grant. At this point, we offer technology grants. I believe our percentage now is about, we offer about 20% of our families take us up on our technology grant, where we actually provide the computer, the printer, and they only need to provide the internet connection into their home. So Amanda didn't, by the way, I'm Amanda's learning coach and mother.
I do own my own computer at home, but I know that my school does provide laptops for students to use. We have laptops set up, or we have a cart of laptops when we go to one of the campuses to use while you're there. And then they do have laptops that kids can take home and rent for a while.
Luckily, I have my own laptop, but our school does have netbooks. They supply netbooks, printers, ink cartridges, and on top of that, their own internet. So when my computer was acting up, they were more than glad to rent me a netbook, and so now I have a netbook and I love it.
I actually own my own laptop and printer. I'm not aware of what City College has to offer, if they give you a laptop or if they let you rent one. Definitely something I'll look into. But that's about it.
Great. I'd like to thank the entire student panel here, and I hope... So thank you for getting up early and coming here, and I hope all of you take what you learned today from the kids and apply that into your online classes. So thank you.